going strong today as well?
Yeah, sure.
7, 5, 6. Take it in. 3, 2, 4.
Takk.
God. Lykke til.
Takk.
098. 5, 9, 6. Lykke til.
Takk.
Sì, ho sentito, specie sugli ultimi 2 colpi.
I midten her også. Litt vind. Ja. Okay.
Non. C'est l'intermédiaire. C'est l'intermédiaire, ça. Ouais. Et là, on se rappelle à la télé. Et comment...
Je sais pas. Là, les essais, j'étais tellement tendu et tout. Ça rentre, hein, mais en mode énervé, quoi. Hein? Ouais, les touchés, t'as vu les filles? Ça m'a piégé. Ouais, il y a du posé, doigt prêt. En av sjekkene.
Ja. Vi 4 likeste stad uten en av plassene.
We are nearly ready to go. We get underway at 10 to the hour. Thomas Bormolini of Italy will be the first man away, a man who lives in Livigno, so he's seen his fair share of biathletes and cross-country skiers this year. Seems to be the favoured resort for altitude training. What is it? It's about 1,800 metres.
Yeah, and one to look out for today is Tero Seppälä. I think he's 13th overall in the World Cup standings and impressing me very much. Ski speed exceptionally fast in Kontiolahti. That with Philip Norath, both second and third in the sprint competition there in ski speed.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for Seppälä. Starts number 3, exactly a minute behind Thomas Bormolini. Bormolini with got his PB in Kontiolahti, so he's finishing the season well. And what is he now, 30? The Italians need some new blood in both the men and the women's team, and they need it quickly. Šima for Slovakia, only once in the points, and that was a 37th, so he needs a good run, and essentially that has to come on the back of a perfect shoot if he's going to qualify for the pursuit tomorrow. If he doesn't, it could be his last race of the season. 2 away. We still have 88 to go. Tero Seppälä is next. Some frantic warming up. What was your favourite warm-up routine as we see Seppälä going out?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what to do sometimes, but I think getting yourself high knees, sprints, and getting the arms moving, you want to warm up the brain as much as you do the legs and arms. Yeah, like I said earlier, Seppälä, I'm looking out for him today, expecting some big things.
Yeah, he comes from Haapajärvi, which is, what, some 350, maybe 400 kilometers north of Helsinki. Now, Clement Bauer, he's been around a while, 36 years old. He's not had his best season, 67% hit rate in the stand. That has been his downfall. He's never actually made the podium. I find that slightly unbelievable. Now this man, another retiree, Benny Vega. Last week, has he got 2 races to go or has he got through 3? And if he wants 3, he's going to have to put in a really, really strong performance today. Let's hope it happens.
Yeah, another face that will certainly be missed on the World Cup is Benjamin Vega. So, yeah, let's hope that he can pull out something special today. Benedikt Dahl, always exciting to watch him race, and world champion 2017 Hochfilzen in the 10-kilometer sprint.
Johannes Kern, as I mentioned, Horn not racing after a big crash. Kern won the sprint in Hochfilzen, what was that, round 3 of the World Cup this season. So we know he's got it in him to win the race. And if he goes clear on the prone, I think we'll see some extra energy. He's got a good start position at number 6.
It's just a shame about his shooting. It can be so inconsistent, but when it comes together on the day, he pulls out great results. So you see him on the podium, and he can always be on the podium if he just gets those targets down.
Yeah, one of the top 6 or 7 in terms of ski speed by Torta Strolia. Brilliant performance in Otterper, getting himself a 6th place. And that came on the back of a perfect shoot. And that pushed him all the way up into the top 30 of the World Cup standing. So his season is finishing well. Paul Schoma of USA is next. Comes out of Lake Placid. Have you raced there?
Not Lake Placid, but a little bit afraid of his graphic there as it appeared on screen. Very animated, and good to see some character in that little graphic. You probably saw at the bottom left. But yeah, he's a powerful athlete, and certainly improving year on year. So good shooting, averaging over 80% both prone and stand. So
yeah, the biathletes need a good result, the USA biathletes, to match the USA cross-country skiers from Farland, where they won the mixed relay, the first ever World Cup mixed relay. That was brilliant. Emilien Jacquelin, well, I think, to be honest, his chances of winning the Sprint World Cup have gone. He can't win the overall now. He's dropped points over the last couple of weeks. So really, Jacquelin just needs a good result here, Scott, just to raise his confidence and raise his spirits for the summer training.
Yeah, another year of quality training, and you'll see him come back next year. He'll be fighting for Crystal Globes. Probably the pursuit. That's where he seems to shine, but difficult right now when Quentin Fillon-Maillet is just dominating everything, it seems, so profoundly, and here he is.
Yeah, just going through the same old procedure. Even a bad race is a good race by everyone else's standards. It's been a wonderful season as we see the 2017 world champion in the sprint, Benny Doll. Was that really 5 years ago in Hochfilzen? The weather was just a little like this. But the races were all scheduled for midday, when no one was quite sure whether it was quick to go early or to go late. It produced some of the best racing that we have ever seen in biathlon, certainly at a major championships.
Yeah, and 5 years, like you said, but still the technique remains to be seemingly chaotic, but it works for him, so perhaps there's a method to the madness.
Yeah, if you were his coach, would you work on it or would you let it be?
I just don't see that head shaking being in any way productive. I feel like that's a couple percentage points, you know, even just averaged out across the season, which could be regained if they just stopped him shaking his head around. I don't know, but it seems to me obvious that that could be corrected.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember as far back as Uschi Diesel, but many a conversation about whether you'd work on her technique. I think hers was sort of physiological or anatomical in the knees, but efficiency is one thing that separates the best from the rest, and Samuelsson has bags of it. He's an absolutely superb athlete, and Samuelsson certainly a potential winner here today.
I recall training with Samuelsson and thinking that even his technique, sometimes he moves so heavily from side to side. You'll notice that he's not a central skate one skier, so up the hills at all. He's very side to side, and I think that motion is like you said, Patrick, highly efficient, but a little bit deviant from the norm. Started skipping up the hill there, Benjamin Veger, a little bit of a kick, but you don't want to burn out too early on this track, especially with this deep, heavy snow. Johannes Kuhn getting off to a pretty good start, 1.7 kilometers in, and already taking some significant time off Bormolini's early start. And as we speak about him, he's coming into the shooting range. Notice how he's skiing in the shade here, just trying to get away from that sunny, melted snow, where it's nice and icy, so he can glide into the shooting range comfortably. And just that, every extra second, millisecond counts, particularly when you've got to consider that this is going to be the precursor to the pursuit competition, which is to follow. So Bormolini settling down. You can see the sun catching the left side of his face. And that's the sun obviously moving from when he's done a 0. Has an impact. He's taken it 3 clicks to the left. So obviously the flags are a little bit different to that when he did his 0. "17 seconds to the first shot, well worth the wait." He adjusted that discipline, like we talked about before. So important to regain that discipline. He got off 5 down. Lygrid now setting off. He'll be well aware of all the activity buzzing along around him. But I think impressive performance in Otapa from Lygrid. Great to see him back in his usual form. And as we noted here, Seppälä opting to cover his left eye, but he's a left-handed, left-eyed shooter, so he needs to protect his left eye much more defensively than perhaps a right-handed shooter in these conditions. Clipping the right of the target there, and now far left. More inaccurate than it is an error of zeroing. He get 4 out of 5 down. Good shooting from Seppälä. So Bauer 10 seconds down as he enters the shooting range. He's experienced, very, very experienced, 36 years of age. And just watch the trigger pressure. Gentle motion, operating the bolt smoothly.
Well, that would do nicely. 4 out of 5. He'd love that 4th one to have gone down. But Bauer, as experienced as anyone here. Now, what about Vega? Is he going to finish with a flourish? Everything a bit low. Oh, throws the last one high left. That's disappointing. Terje Bø, he's going to get a big round of applause as he leaves.
And you can see some of the prone positions are right in the sun, so it's getting right onto the side of their face, covered here by the blinder. So Johannes Kuhn managing to get all 5 down. Fantastic shooting from him.
Samuelsson up to the 1.7, 3.3 outside the fastest. That will do okay. No panic at this stage. I think we've learned this season that those who are confident enough to take the first lap a little bit steady, maybe 5% under max, they benefit more at the end than they lose at the beginning. Strelia needed 10 out of 10 to match his performance in Otapa last week. He's not going to get it now.
Fantastic shape in Ruhpolding just before the Olympic Games. Fantastic shape after the Olympic Games. He'll certainly be disappointed that he wasn't able to pull it all together at the Olympic Games. Christiansen, what an amazing season he's had, and he's climbed up the rankings quite slowly, I'd say, over the years. Emil Jacquelin.
Well, I think the most amazing thing with Christiansen, Scott, is that he is now the #1 Norwegian in the World Cup standings, and he's 20 points ahead of Sturla Holm Lygrid, with Terje Bø dropping from the top 4 down into 6th position. What about Jacquelin? Oh, worst possible start. The French did not enjoy this morning in the women's race. That was high, split round, that's better. Ooh. Oh, finishes off with a miss. So 1 and 5 go wide, and Fillon-Maillet will not mind that one little bit. And here he is.
Just at the end there, Patrick, notice he had some slightly unkind words to say about his performance there, and he's never shy of expressing himself during a race, and I think that's something that will come when he matures as an athlete, as a biathlete. He'll be able to control those emotions slightly more, and I think that will, yeah, allow him to shoot better perhaps when he revisits the range.
Yeah, he is extraordinary. I still think I was having a think about the best race of the year, and I think his performance in Annecy in the pursuit was exceptional, where he got a win, and he did it in style with some incredible shooting on the last lap.
Oh, edge, but it goes down, so can't complain with that. He won't be aware that it was so much of an edge.
Mark Kirchner, the noise is slightly different. It has to be a pretty thick edge, but if you can pick that up, but I'm not sure that Benny Doll will have had too much idea, and out he comes back onto the second loop.
And just look at his head movement. He's leaning forward, and yeah, it begs the question, could that be improved?
Yeah, but the forward lean, I never think is a bad thing. You know, I like the idea of leaning the direction you're going, as we see Eric Lesser out of the start gate. He's having a good end to his career. Another man hanging up his skis in either 1 or 2 days' time, depending on whether he qualifies for the mass start. Quick on the snow, quick in the range. Has he gone sub 30? Yes, he has, 28.5. And Samuelsson is within reach of Jacquelin. If Jacquelin has a disaster, Samuelsson could well move up into second place in the World Cup standings and prevent a French 1-2. That is probably his aim for the last 3 days of the season. Christiansen's always been a good shot, Scott, but this year his skiing has improved probably 3 or 4% to make him really dangerous. Fillon-Maillet just getting underway. Christiansen on his first shoot needs to block the noise of the crowd out. Oh, a little bit lucky.
Oh.
Oh. Every other one going left.
3
it goes left
clips
again.
the edge. Wow, that's amazing that they went down. But you know, if you're the best and you're hitting it, if you're on the edge of hitting, more often than not, they'll be on the inside of the edge of hitting rather than the outside, where the less accurate shooters will be.
Only 2.8 behind. It's a good start for Christiansen. He doesn't know how lucky he's been. Leigrid, the number 2 in the world last year, his season started badly. If you want to win the overall World Cup nowadays, Scott, you've got to start well, and Leigrid didn't, Johannes Tingesbø didn't start well, Vera didn't start well, Eckhoff didn't start well, and all those, despite brilliant results since mid-season, have been nowhere near the top of the table.
It's quite amazing, and also you look at the effect that the Olympics has as well on their psyche, and who is able to retain their form after the Olympics. I think it's quite rare to see somebody such as Quentin able to retain that form.
Now, this is what Christiansen would have wanted, but as I said, he throws one left. So 4 in the 10, 1 up high left. That gets inside. I think Mazet will have been relatively comfortable with that performance, and he is quick. Look at this. The man who won the first race of the season could be winning one of the last races of the season. 14.8 to play with after just 3.3.
I don't think Christiansen's going to be happy to hear about that, if he does indeed hear about it, because that is a huge deficit to regain on the closing laps of this race.
Yeah, and if he can do the same on the second lap, he will have earned himself a penalty loop. if things stay as they are, but we're still waiting for Fillon-Maillet to come in. This is Bourmelini, who, as you can tell from his bib, started number 1. Only 76%, so you'd expect at least 1 miss, maybe 2. Nicely painted targets, and down go 4. The picture at the end of a race, not so much at this time of season, but when we have a field of 120, the standing target can be pretty much obliterated, and lots of rounds missing. Tero Sapala, big improvement from the Finnish team, particularly from Sapala. What do you put that down to?
Well, so they've definitely improved over the years in terms of increasing the culture that surrounds biathlon. I think Kaisa Mäkäräinen is, I don't want to say solely accountable for that improvement in culture, but it certainly has a massive effect. They're hosting every year the Masters World Championships as well. It's a big part of their nation and the sport that they love. And some success there from the Brits as well, multiple silver medals.
Oh, just as we float his boat, he puts a few holes in the bottom. That's disappointing. Tarjei Bø throws one wide. Just having a look at the wind, no noticeable change.
I think Tarjei Bø, almost everybody's favorite biathlete. Nobody has a bad word to say about him. Always charismatic, and as positive as he is, a great shooter and skier. He's really got the full package. I think that's what makes him such a popular biathlete.
Yeah, I wonder whether his younger brother will retire before he does. Certainly looks as though that may be the case. Johannes Kern in for Germany. Remember, a sprint winner already this season. He would love to finish it off, and he's halfway there with a clear prone shoot.
You can see his cheek getting stretched all the way up there, revealing his teeth. That's how much pressure he's putting down onto the cheek piece to keep that rifle steady. Something he certainly needs and has been working on over the years is learning how to keep it steady, because it's not always been the way for Johannes Kuhn.
Yeah. 4 out of 5. Kirchner, no indication of his emotions, having seen that performance. Scott, did you used to come up onto the target as we see Fillon-Maillet go through 10 seconds down? He's one of the athletes who does now have the confidence just to ski within himself on the first loop, and it always makes us think he's lost his form.
It's a luxury, and you saw it with Martin Fourcade. It led to him being able to control the race, even in the individual races, where he could do it within himself. He could play his own game plan. And like I said, it's a luxury, and when you've got fantastic biathletes such as Samuelsson about, it's a risk, but a risk he's willing to take.
Yeah, there's no doubt that when Johannes Tingesbø came on the scene, that upset Martin Fourcade's domination, simply because he couldn't take the first lap so easy anymore. And then he found himself making mistakes on the range. But he was still a better finisher, Fourcade, than Johannes Tingesbø. You know, a race over the last lap, nearly always Fourcade was quicker.
Yeah, Johannes Tingesbø is the sort of animal who just cannot but go full pelt from the start, and it's something which I certainly never had the capacity to do. And it's an animal nature of just attack, attack, attack. But when it comes to the tactical racing, it's not always optimal.
A long preparation for Luki Hoffa. Oh, hasn't paid off.
25 seconds to the first shot. Confused.
There's another good long look. Down the range. Has to get this, otherwise I was going to say, could have been out of contention for the pursuit, but 2 misses already, extra 300 meters. Hoffa not doing so well. What about the German veteran? Many absolutely astonished that Eric Lesser is retiring the season before the World Championships go to his home stadium. Maybe he's been offered a job there, which could prove to be more lucrative than actually racing.
It's hard to know which German to watch here. Benedikt Dahl, is he going to clear 5? He does. Fantastic shooting from Benedikt Dahl. Yeah, that's 10 for 10.
matched by Eric Lesser. We'll get an update on Benny Dole's time as he exits. That's him rounding the corner now.
Might be able to do some teamwork, help each other out on this final course. If he can get in behind Eric Lesser, who, by the way, is skiing unbelievably fast at the moment, and looks to be, yeah, no time, even though he is retiring, doesn't seem to want to slow down.
It is, there seems to be a theme this year that once you announce your retirement, you suddenly find your best form, and that makes you think twice about your retirement. Certainly, Tyrrell Eckhoff, not Tyrrell Eckhoff, I was going to say Therese Johaug from the cross country. As we watch Samuelsson, last shot, 10 out of 10. A ski race between Samuelsson and Dole, and Phil Maillet has yet to get to the standing chute. So the Swedes are putting up a good fight, and Samuelsson second in the sprint standings this year, having won the very first 2 races in Östersund.
Well, he's certainly done everything he can to fight this man, Quentin Fillon-Maillet, for that crystal globe, but unless he misses all 5 in the stand, Quentin Fillon-Maillet is pretty much untouchable.
Yeah, but he's given away 18 on the snow. He only needs to finish in the top 37, Fillon-Maillet, to secure the sprint globe. Ponsaluma, he's every bit as quick as Samuelsson. He's going to be just a few seconds behind, but he puts himself in the mix.
A lot of big names, 10 for 10 so far, and only 14 people through chute number 2. Incredible.
He can do no wrong at the moment, Christiansen. But after the first chute, he's been pushed all the way down into 6th position. So he's 16 seconds off the lead of Sturleholm Lygrid. Lygrid starting number 18. He'll be in to shoot fairly shortly. Less than a minute before he'll take his position on the range for chute number 2. Philip Fjeld Andersen made the Olympic team, but did not get selected to race once he arrived. Keep an eye on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Lygrid in an attempt to go back into top spot. 22 seconds clear, Scott. This is the tough one. Whoa. Down it goes. Wow. That is what we saw from Lygrid time and time again last year. And that's going to be a tough time to beat. Patrick, it's going to be a monster time.
I almost had the arrogance before this to say he's had a disappointing season by last year's standards, but look at that, 26 seconds clear. That's surely an untouchable time.
Yeah, the man who took 4 golds at the World Championships last year is back on that golden form, and about time too. I'm sort of slightly suspicious. It's difficult this season because there's been so much COVID going round that you don't know how much an individual's been affected by it. But I just felt that Lygrid had probably pushed it too hard in the summer, and that had subdued his form for the first 2/3 of the season.
It's hard to know exactly what caused his well, I mean, can you say it, poor form at the start of the season? I think that's a bit disingenuous.
He did win the first race of the season, but by his own standards, his shooting was way below par. For sure. And your shooting often comes down when your physical state is down. Bormolini, most of his work is done, just 1 miss in the standing position. He will set the target time here in Oslo. We're going to be around the 27:20, somewhere around there. The sprint winning time in the Olympics by Johannes Tingesbø, a pretty lightning quick 24 minutes. Oh, Simoneda, that's not like him to throw the 5th one wide. And what a career he's had.
Yeah, I don't ever see him being able to really pick up his ski speed sufficiently to see him contending for the podium as much as he used to be able to do.
Yeah, well, he's no longer a young man at 39. I think he does remarkably well. 27-27 for Bormolini. That time will be bettered by at least a minute. Talia Burt, expensive miss in the prone.
Oh. It wanted to go down, but even the crowd cheering it on wouldn't tip it over the edge.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that tipping point, isn't it? And 2 misses then for Talia Burt. That might put him out of contention for the pursuit tomorrow, especially when Samuelsson and Ponsaloma and Lygrid and Christiansen are on such good form. It's going to be a battle between those 4, I feel, at the moment. I'm not sure that Phil Maillet is going to get a look in today.
And I don't think there's anything Samuelsson can do to, at this point in the race, to close any gap on Lygrid that he may have already lost up until this point.
Yeah, deficit of 26 seconds between the 2 of them, coming out of the range for the 2nd time. Felix Leitner, another man who's finishing his season well. I've been delighted with the way he's performed of late. Can he make it 5? Yes, he can. And the time is not bad at all. 13 seconds after the first shoot. Could well put him into the top 5.
Looking powerful from Kuhn as he came out of shoot number 2. He was 57 seconds down on Lygrid's time.
Yeah, and a minute up on the time of Bormolini. So the field fairly well spread today. Well, the Norwegians seem to have mastered the art, Scott, of getting an edge shot, but getting the target down.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody there with a trigger. No, it's amazing. I think there's it's so accurate, and they do so much training just on paper. They shoot paper a lot of the time in the early season because they're getting true feedback, not that instantaneous gratification of watching the target go down, but you're getting to see where the shot lands and understand the kind of causes that lead to the shot going wide or up or down, left or right. You really start to understand your shooting better. So I think that's one of the reasons why we see such fantastic shooting consistently from Norwegian biathletes.
Strelia, not quite a match for his 6th place last week, but still going okay. Now, Lygrid, after the 2nd shoot, leading the way with a 26-second lead. He's pushed that up to 28. He goes from strength to strength as we see Roman Rees. He's going to put himself into the top 7 or 8.
Eric Lester just lifting his bib up because the material is just a little bit slippier on the bib, so he wants to secure that down on his hip without there being any chance of it sliding off.
2nd place at the moment coming in. Shooting standard so high, he has to get this. Oh, he throws it a mile wide. And Eric Lester's chances, I think that probably puts him out of contention for a top 5, may even be a top 10.
You can see how much that hurt, shaking his head and a few profanities at the end there. And that's just, you know, it's rare from him. One of the most disciplined biathletes.
Benny Dole, 20 seconds clear at the moment, but his time is going to be bettered. Benny Dole in 3rd place at 8.4 at the moment. And I think Samuelsson, Christiansen, Lygrid are all going to better his time. 26.06 is the target time. Last time we raced a sprint here was in March 2019, and Johannes Tingesbø won that. 24.39 was the winning time.
One to look out for Martin Ponsaloma, currently 15 seconds behind Lygrid at the 6 kilometer mark, having hit 5 for 5 in his first prone.
Samuelsson is going in front. We are down to under 26 minutes. Fielmaye, 10 out of 10. Now, normally that would set him up for yet another win, but I think he's going to struggle today. Ponsaloma, no, this is what happened last week as well. Last two shots were good, but number 2 and 3 have cost him. He knows what he needs to do over the summer.
You can see the frustration venting from a lot of the biathletes today. They come off the mat, they've had a disappointing shoot, and rather than the sparky, let's just get on with this, let's move on, it's out of our control now kind of attitude, it's more, frustration, and letting that control or dominate their thinking. So, end of the season, you see a lot of that.
What a race from Lygrid, leading at 29.4 with a time of 23.43. So a margin of some 26 seconds over Samuelsson. The time has been coming down over the last kilometre. So I think we're probably looking at a lead of around 24. Christiansen started a minute and a half ahead of Lygrid. It's a good time, but he cannot match Samuelsson. 10 seconds between them after the last shoot. Fielmaye, incidentally, has gone out in 3rd position with a time 31 seconds down on Lygrid. He's only 5 seconds off Samuelsson, who will be hoping that the Frenchman can't match his performance. This surely has to be for a win. No one is near Lygrid's time on the first shoot, and no one is near his time at the finish. 26.5. He celebrates already. He'll certainly show the others respect because he knows Fielmaye is still out there, but he's obviously got a few splits on the way around.
When you're so far ahead, it's, even I think he knows he's well and truly wrapped this one up. However, that said, Martin Fourcade, you may remember, did a little bit of a trick jump over the bridge some years ago, only to then be beaten by 3 seconds or so, or 0.3 seconds by Arndt Pfeiffer in the closing end, the end of the race. So it's not all over until it's over.
Geoghegan is just a little down on where he needs to be. Just outside the top 10 at the moment for Geoghegan, and 50 seconds to make up. I think a top 10 would be good enough. It's very tough, Scott, being in a team where you have Fielmayes and Jacquelins and Detieux. He's always been number 4 or 5 in the team. Down you go. Oh, he throws number 5 wide. It's getting to that stage of the season.
He was very grateful, I remember, in Annecy when he had some success, just in the press conference, just saying he always wanted to do something great, and he perceived that podium to be that thing that was great. And I think he's one of the most humble biathletes. Even when he saw all of his teammates at the Olympics on the podium, he was the first to say, this is my team, my family on the podium, and huge respect for Geoghegan.
Yeah, well, there you see the standings at the moment. Very early days, but the top 4 all shooting the perfect score. And when Lygrid and Samuelsson and Christiansen shoot clear, I don't think there's anyone other than Johannes Tingesbø who can beat them with a miss, and he's not here.
He's in good form, Philippe Narath at the moment. Very good ski form, but it's thick, slow conditions, and he's a heavy biathlete, so not his favoured conditions, that's for sure. Edge. Nice, easily tipping targets here today.
Phil-Maillet coming out of the range, 29.3. He's really looking, actually, he was 31.6 behind coming out, so he's now at 33 and still finds himself some 5 seconds behind Samuelsson. Big climb before they come back down into the stadium, so he could make that up on that section, but I suspect that Samuelsson was pushing 100%. That there is a chance that Phil-Maillet might be off the podium. It's going to be a close run thing.
Yeah, his form not quite, well, I mean, it's still incredibly high, but not quite where it was the last couple of weeks. He's managing to still hit 10 out of 10, retaining that incredible hit rate.
Alexander Fjeld Andersen, just 24, comes from Geilo, better known as an alpine resort. Right in the middle of the country, no shortage of snow there, and evidently no shortage of ranges to have shooting practice. 10 out of 10 for Andersen, and I think we may well push it up to around 15 clears today.
Such a smooth stand shooter. You see the operation of the bolt, so smooth, and they maintain them extremely well, so they are that smooth. But even so, his stand percentage currently on 79%. So it's not his favoured shooting, with prone being at 90%.
Simon Detieux, is he going to do enough to get in the pursuit? Yes, he is, without a doubt. And I suspect that if he stays top 10, he is going to take his season, his final season, all the way to the mass start on Sunday. Roman Rees, 47 seconds down on Lygrid. Now that sounds a huge amount, but he can go into the top 4 if he can keep that deficit. But with a miss, we're looking more like a minute 15.
You can see there's a little bit of wind. You can see his hair blowing, and in the background, the heat refractions. Oh. It's a lot of conflicting weather conditions today, but stable enough that we've seen a lot of the big names manage to clear all 10.
Number 1 and number 5, the most commonly missed targets today. Number 4 had its moment in Kontiolahti in Otepää. Number 4 seemed to be the tough one. Did you have any target that you used to miss more than any others?
I think it varies. I don't think in particular, but psychologically I'd say the second target can be quite tricky, because when you hit that first one, the expectations are, I should get the second.
Yeah, Eric Lesser. Good strong finish, 40 seconds. Now take a penalty loop off that and you've got an absolutely brilliant performance, and he is the fastest of those to have missed so far. He's overtaken Christensen, who went 10 with 10, so there is no doubt that Lesser, I think he's on the best form we've seen for 5 years, and he's within 48 hours of hanging his skis up. Seems bonkers.
It's going to make it tricky, that's for sure. Maybe somebody will offer him a last-minute paycheck.
Bakken, his chance has gone. What about Phil-Maillet? Is he going top 3? Samuelsson on 26.2. Oh my goodness, where did Phil-Maillet dig that out? Oh, it's not just about winning. Just getting one place in the last few meters is so important. He was 5 seconds down at 8.4.
They were going together at the same speed until just the final kilometer, really, when he managed to just take it all back.
Yeah, that's the advantage of starting later. You know what you've got to do, and when you know, it's much easier to hurt yourself.
And you commented on it earlier, Patrick, where you said he started slowly, and that's the benefit of having a controlled start. You're able to give it just a little bit more on the last loop.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ponsaloma, he's not looking quite as fresh as Phil-Maillet did. The mouth is wide open, trying to suck in every molecule of oxygen he can get.
You forget how much it hurts when you're sitting watching at home and think, I could get back on the skis and give it a go. But yeah, when the lungs are burning, the legs are screaming at you, it's all pain, and you can see that written across his face.
Yeah, the fastest with 2 misses so far. Poncelomo, he's into 8th position. Detur pushed down a 9. Terribo now down a 10, having missed 2.
Dominic Vindish proposed to his fiancée with a ring that was smelted down from the bronze medal he won at Pyeongchang Olympics.
Must have been a big ring.
Not the whole medal, I don't think. I hope not, anyway.
Nice touch, though.
Very Italian, that's for sure.
Yeah, certainly got more class than me. Karlik of the Czech Republic. This is nice looking shoot. Oh, spoke too soon. Now, we've seen some bad misses here today, Scott. The 5th shot, you know, centimetres wide.
Yeah, it's, I mean, we've seen a lot of edge shots as well, where the target has just trickled down. And we haven't seen edge shots where the target hasn't gone down so much. Like you said, it's either an edge and in, or a big miss and out. Even that was, I'd say, 60% out, and it still went down.
Another split shot for David Komats. 85% on both disciplines throughout the season, as we see one of the 3 brothers in action. Oh, that's a really disappointing start, and you're not going to be competitive with 3 misses today. Clement Bauer missing 3. He's way down in 22nd position, 2.5 minutes off the pace. He might just scrape into the pursuit.
You see when the likes of Fabien Claude and Emilien Jacquelin, they were dominating the junior field some 8, 9 years ago, and as they've come up into the World Cup, the level has risen. You haven't seen quite so much feature from young German biathletes, and that really shows. You've got Eric Lesser, of course, still retaining that high-level performance, but unfortunately just not so many youth and junior German biathletes, and some other nations too, managing to show their skills and potential.
Yeah, tricky era for the Germans, with certainly in the women's, the top women. They produce a top woman, Dahlmeier, Neuner, and then they retire very, very early.
Vanessa Voigt, I think she's impressive, and let's just hope that she can produce something special. Sean Doherty, he was also dominant at all the junior world champs that I was attending, certainly, and in the younger category too. Look at him today, possibly 5 for 5, but big miss, top left.
Norath just tiptoes his way around the final corner, and grateful for a little bit of downhill that accelerates him into the home straight. 50 meters to go now, a 0-0 on the card, but he might struggle to get inside Eric Lesser. He will do. Lesser at 40, just outside, so goes down into 6th place. Christiansen now pushed down a 7. Yeah, the conveyor belt of talented Norwegians goes on.
Yeah, they're featuring some youngsters today, as well as Erland Bjontegard. We've seen him a lot over the years. Crystal Globe and the IBU Cup, so the race is just below the World Cup, but not managing to express that quality today here at World Cup.
Well, they're going very tough out there now. Later on in the day, the salt that was laid down early just starting to lose its effect. It's the steep climbs and the downhill corners where they're carrying good speed, Scott. That's where you can really sap the legs.
Absolutely, and on the uphills as well, you've got, when it's deep like this, every time you kick, it's like running on a beach. Everybody knows how painful that can be. It's the same effect. Every time you kick, the snow disappears from beneath your foot. There's no solid connection. So it's like, yeah, like I said, running on a beach, it hurts.
Yeah, it's where Ole Einar Bjorndalen used to be so good. He could float across a surface like this. And actually, Ligrid is not exactly a big man in terms of bulk. So I think he might have had a slight advantage here today. Anderson crossed the line, and I think that's okay. The wind picking up a little bit, but still changing directions. Need for Uldal to be super careful.
Uldal, he's had 4 times third position at Junior Worlds, only 20 years old. Third in the individual, 12.5. And in the pursuit in the relay, so he's a lot of talent. I'd say high expectations. The Norwegians probably want to give him a start. Give that experience, that's what they do. They're quite happy to give the youngsters the experience, like they did Johannes Tingus Bø in the relay early on, and he messed up. He ended up on the podium, but that's okay. It's the big picture that the Norwegian team's concerned about, not those individual cases of error.
Good finish for Bjørntegard. Another of the Norwegians that bases himself in Lillehammer. Really good in the Olympics back in 2018. He got 5th in the sprint there. Didn't get a place this time round, nor did Dale. The Norwegians with so many to choose from. And Bjørntegard, despite that 5 out of 5, still down in 20th place.
And Dale, the one that we really missed this year, because what a fantastic biathlete. He came out of nowhere last season, and right now he's unfortunately got COVID, so not able to attend. But would he have been selected? Who knows? Because it's a incredible field of Norwegian athletes to select from. Very competitive.
Well, I've never seen anyone hold a pen like Ligrid does. Not sure what that's about. I guess that was his doping control completed. He's been finished for a while. He's still leading the way. 25-27, the leading time at the moment. And Ligrid has been leaping up the order in the World Cup standings since the end of the Olympic. Well, really since Antolz. He looked pretty good in Antolz. And he's had a good second half to the season.
Well, we'll be hunting down Christiansen today. Not entirely sure if he'll have closed that gap between the two of them, but it's going to be a battle to see who's going to be the #1 Norwegian at the end of this season.
Yeah, I guess this is one of the disadvantages of starting in the last group, Scott. The target just is not as black as it was at the beginning, and every miss makes that picture a little more blurred.
Oh, it was good shooting up until that point. When you hit 7 out of 10 and you've got 2 shots remaining, certainly for myself and from having conversations with others, you cannot help but have that flicker of, well, in some cases, you know, I can handle 8 out of 10. If I miss the next 2, that's not so bad. Or in some cases, oh, I just need to get these next 2. Whatever those thoughts are, they're negative, and you've got to be able to shut them out because they're only going to detract from your performance and ability to get them.
Yeah, what's Dominic Vindish? Oh, and that was the mind. That was the mind. Certainly wasn't his ability. He's capable of hitting 5, but the thought patterns probably wandered, and he was starting to think, "Wow, this will be great if I hit 5."
Median Claude, that's going to be interesting to see him potentially, you know, breaking into the top 10 with the ski speed and shooting performance like that. Wondering if Dominic Vindish opted to go into the final group because he thought it might improve, the tracks might get faster. Strange to see him start so late. Harlick with what appears to be a machine gun there.
Yeah, he's often in the top 3 or 4 in terms of shooting speed. But if you look at the results, very, very seldom is anyone in the top 5 in the top 10 in terms of speed of shot. They're all something like 8 or 9 seconds down on the fastest. I guess that's because the faster skiers know they can afford to take a bit longer.
Yeah, and why? What's the benefit of shooting fast? You have to ask yourself, it has to average out across the whole season as being beneficial to shoot that couple seconds faster each race for the potential 1-2 misses that you're going to have as a result of shooting that quickly. You have to be able to control that pace. You have to be able to hit those targets.
Rhythm is just as important, and Stephenson did seem to delay just a fraction before that 4th shot.
He's had plenty feature on World Cup this season, almost attending every single one, but seldom breaching the top 40 even. So good position for him actually in this race today, so he'll be disappointed with that miss.
No Italians in the top 15. Bormolini is best at the moment in 20th position. Giacomel puts that to rights. That's a fantastic run from him. Only 1 miss. He's 127. And with all the targets down, he would have been challenging Johannes Kern, who's currently sitting in 8th position. Sean Doherty. Yeah, as you say, brilliant junior. Scott, do you think he's slightly underperformed at senior level, or?
I would say, from what I personally wanted to see from him, I would say so, because he was so good. I would have loved to see a dominant American biathlete. It would have been so great, and he's such a nice guy as well, super talented, very good at his crafts, and it would have been really nice to see him contending more often. That said, he is still a very successful biathlete.
And 21st position today. That is not bad at all. Late start for David Zobel, and a perfect shoot to wrap off his day. He's 58 seconds behind, so he should come in, all things being equal, about 1:30 off the leaders, which could possibly give him a top 15 finish. Germany have gone well today, Scott. Benny Doll in 4, Lesser in 5, Norath 6, Kern in 8. So 4 Germans in the top 8 positions. I think, well, I know that makes them the most successful team.
And isn't it great? I think Germany, we've seen them dipping over the past couple of years more than we would have perhaps liked. And it's nice to see them featuring so heavily in the top 10 when most often we see France and Norway and occasionally Sweden as well these days.
A good bit of speed and a good fight from Ospanis as he comes down the home straight, 2 minutes down on the leaders. 23rd position. Remember, tomorrow is a pursuit. Top 60 qualifying for that. At the moment, the margin is 5 minutes 30. That will come down. It can only come down. And the top 60 after the second shoot at 2 minutes 28, which is much more like it. So we're going to have a few finishers in that bracket over the next few minutes. This is a good run from Uldal.
Yeah, like I said, 20 years of age. So again, this is Norway testing out their youngsters, giving them an experience. And you can see he's not physically as developed as the other athletes on his team. So in the years to come, that will change. Fancy way of taking the rifle off as well. The innovation is is always happening and coming from the youth.
Go on. Well done.
Wow, there we go.
Well done, and he's matched Lucas Hoffer for getting the rifle back on, which perhaps is even more important. That was lightning quick. Uldal, 108 coming in. Has he managed to cut the deficit? No, I don't think so, but he's not lost much in the range. That was an excellent shoot, and he goes out in 14th place. If he can hold on to that, that will put him, in terms of the Norwegians, it will put him just behind Terje Bø, who's currently lying in 12th place.
And just bear in mind, he's never actually started on World Cup before. He's only, in fact, he's not even started on IBU Cup. He's only been on Youth World Champs, Junior World Champs, and that was stretching all the way back from 2019-20 season.
Bjørntegard goes top 16 for now, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Norwegians in the top 16, 7 in the top 18. They are there in numbers. The French obviously delighted with Phil Moyet, but noticeable by their absence other than Phil Moyet in the top 10. Phil Moyet wrapping up the sprint World Cup trophy. He's already got the overall. He's already got the pursuit. He gets the sprint today. He could win the mass start on Sunday. The only one he won't get his hands on for sure is the individual, which was taken by Terje Bø, who won 2 silver medals in the individual races this year. Today belonging to Lygrid, the man who finished second in the World Cup last year by a hair's breadth, finally finds the form that brought him the success last year. He won in the first week of the season. He's won in the last week of the season. It is what happened in between that let Ståleholm Lygrid down. But Scott, incredible pace.
Absolutely, and you can see, skinny though he is, he's got a massive lung capacity, and that's one of the features of great biathletes that we tend to see, is just that huge chest that you can fill up with oxygen to replenish the depleted muscles as you're charging around the track. So he's a machine, and he's also a character. Great shooter, musician, multi-talented individual.
What's the instrument?
Guitar, electric guitar. I think he manages to entertain his teammates by traveling around the season with an electric guitar and amplifier, so he's popular one to share a room with.
Best musician on the tour, or anyone notable by their skills?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Lygrid, since the last time it was, oh man, it's, Tim.
Yeah, Tim from USA.
Yeah. And
was it Bailey?
Tim Bailey, yeah. And I'm trying to remember Gabby as well, who she was fantastic at singing.
Sue Caliver.
Yeah, of course, yeah, the name changed. It's, I'm trying to rack the memory here. I don't think it's a surprise that there's a correlation between musical ability or craft ability and being able to operate and control a rifle. It's so delicate, the process of shooting, everything from squeezing of the trigger pressure. It might seem as though you're just pulling the trigger when the sight comes into picture. That isn't true. You're actually holding the trigger, this 500-gram, extremely sensitive trigger, right at the firing point, just a couple of grams away from firing, such that when you do want to pull the trigger, you only need to flutter your finger, like a tiny increase of pressure, so that you're not flinching. Because a flinch 50 meters back on the rifle has a massive effect all the way down on the target.
Good run from Dominic Vindish, and he just pips his teammate. 5 seconds in it between the two Italians. Luki Hoffer, we saw him earlier on, missed targets from Hoffer. Just trying to find his result. Giacomo is the best of the Italians in 13th. So a little bit of a surprise there. 34th for Luki Hoffer, missing targets that have cost him. He missed twice, 2:25 down. Another good run from Erik Lesser. That is absolutely astonishing, the form he's found over the last couple of weeks.
What a day for the Germans. I think credit also to their waxing team, because you can't have ski speed like that and attribute it solely to the biathletes. The wax team must have nailed it in these tough conditions.
Yeah, Erik Lesser, who had one race in the Olympics, or one individual race, that was the individual. He missed 5 out of 10 in the stand. Since then, on the World Cup, he's gone 12th, 2nd, 7th, 5th. Brilliant, brilliant results. And today, he's not going to... I think he could be in the top 5 again today. So, Erik Lesser finishing with the best form, as I said earlier. Best form I think we've ever seen from him. Can he really go through with his retirement, having found this form?
That's the real expression of discipline, isn't it? When you retire when you want to retire, not when you think other people expect you to. I listened to an interview, Quentin Tarantino, filmmaker, of all the comparisons to draw. But he said, I want to stop making films when I want to stop, not when the crowd wants me to stop. Because sometimes you can keep on going too far, and then people say, I wish you stopped when you were on top.
Yeah. But you may know Kalle Halvarsson from the cross-country tour. He was umming and ahhing, and actually many of the Swedish public saying it's time to go, Kalle. But a couple of brilliant races, a podium finish on his last week of the season, and he's decided to give it one more year. So it can have a great effect if you start producing decent results.
And it's always nice, a bit of nostalgia as well, getting to see your favourite biathletes, the ones that have rocked the World Cup circuit for so long, getting back in amongst the youngsters that are coming through and still continuing to show them who's boss from time to time.
Yeah, and in terms of those youngsters, who have you been impressed with this year? Who do you think's likely to join the big stars next year?
Yeah, so I mean, I think today when I was bigging up Sepala, I think unfortunate that I made such a prediction today because he missed 4. However, I would say that with his 13th overall in the World Cup standing, he's 26 years old. I do think that we're going to see something special for him in years to come, because he can get into the top 5 ski speed. If you can do that, then you can really shine across the whole World Cup season, and I think we'll expect big things from him in years to come. On the women's side, actually, Vanessa Voigt, I think she's an exceptional shooter and also an exceptional skier. She's had that little one crumble at the Olympic Games and yet managed to come back from the mixed relay, what she perceived to be a catastrophe on the penalty loop, to then multiple medals, some individual ones. So she's one to look out for too.
Yeah, certainly. Her prone shooting, and of course Elvira Öberg's already made it, but her standing shooting of late, you know, she said herself, I'm just finding it so easy. If she'd been as good with the prone as she has been with the stand, I think she would have won a lot more than 4 races this year.
Urdal, he's currently 19th position going through the 9.4 kilometers. So he's only got 5 seconds to close down on Erland Bjørntegard, having shot the same. And Bjørntegard actually won the Crystal Globe on IBU Cup. So what a performance it would be if Urdal manages to close that gap over the finish line.
Well, I think he's really fighting to stay in the top 20, isn't he? Vaclavic sitting in 20th position at the moment. Philip Fjeld Andersen has been just, what, a second or so either side of Urdal's time. We should see his name come up on the screen fairly shortly. The top 10 have gone. Zobel, Detieu are safe at 24. He's still got a way to go. Right-hand turn, and then 140 meters or so towards the finish over the little jump that has been used in the ski cross event many, many times.
And what fantastic technique he has, the balance. He's able to get all of his body weight over the front of that ski to maximize the power from his upper body.
Anderson on 139.5, I think might survive, he will, and Vaclavic just pushed down outside the top 20. So Uldal, with his first ever World Cup, gets himself into 20th position. He started number 80 of 90. I can't see anyone else coming up behind him who's going to push him down a slot. So a top 20 finish, first time round. There's one with a future.
Absolutely, and they're good. The Norwegian team, they're going to be keeping an eye on him, and I imagine going to be working hard on seeing his progress over the summer, so that next year maybe we'll see some more features on the World Cup. Emilian Claude, he spent a lot of his season on the IBU Cup. Second place in Ridnaun, horrible course in Ridnaun, massive hill. So if you want to punish yourself around a track, go to Italy, Ridnaun, and that's one for you.
Your favourite venue over the years?
Holmenkollen, this one, I love it. Yeah, it's hard, it's steep, but the hills are mostly, you can skate to a lot of them. So. Except for when the conditions are as they are right now, which is slushy, albeit that is the case most of the time. I just love the terrain here and the corners. It's a beautiful range entry too.
Benny Dole with a good race today, sitting in 4th place. Lesser 5, Norath 6. The top positions peppered by the Germans. One Frenchman, Phil Maillet, in there in 2nd position. And 2 Swedes. Samuelsson is 3. Down in 10th position is Ponsaloma. Otherwise, it is all about Norway and Germany. Maracek. Top 60 was at 4.5 minutes. The margin is now down to 3:19. Surprise, that's a big margin.
It's definitely nice to see on the 1, 2, 3, and 4. We got Norway, France, Sweden, then Germany. Great to see that variety. It's, of course, it's no bad thing to see 3 French on the podium or 2 French on the podium, but it's I like the variety. It keeps it exciting.
Well, I think it's important for the sport. I know the Norwegians have been debating whether there should be a limit on the amount of money you can spend on ski preparation. Because they're quite accepting of the fact that a lot of their medals at the major championships and a lot of their success in the World Cup circuits is because they spend more than anyone else on waxes and technicians.
That's a tough one to monitor as well, because how can you say you can only spend, well, I believe their wax budget is literally unlimited. That's my understanding, and that does seem crazy.
Well, I think their wax budget, certainly for 2018, was 1.5 million, which probably would have kept 4 of the minor teams on the road for 3 years each. It does dwarf what other people spend. But I think the important thing is, as they know they spend a lot, and they want the sport to be successful. They do not want Norway 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And it's also, you don't want to see the slower nations, the less well-funded ones, getting even further behind just because they can't afford to learn about the new waxes now that the high fluorocarbon waxes have been taken out of the World Cup racing. They aren't able to understand, learn about the new technology, test the new technology to the degree that the Norwegians can. So the gap just stretches, and from a spectator's perspective, we want as many people from as many nations as possible to be contending for the podium.
Claude with a 0-2. Take a minute off that, and he would have been right in the mix. What do we got? A minute between the top 10. From 10 to 20, separated by 40 seconds. And from 20 to 30, separated by 20 seconds.
I don't think Lygrid would have woke up this morning expecting to have a 22-second lead over Quentin Fillon-Maillet. So what a day for him.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting matchup in the pursuit tomorrow.
And going off past performance, you'd expect Ligrid. He's so good behind the rifle that you'd expect that he can handle it. But I'm not sure. Yes, it was good today, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Just a couple of non-starters today. Philip Horn, I mentioned, because of an injury to his head, took a big fall on the tracks. They've been salting them for a couple of days. It can make it pretty icy first thing in the morning. And actually, Scott, I would imagine that tomorrow morning it's going to be rock hard because the skies are clear. It will drop down to around -2, -3 tonight. And if they don't get the pisteurs out before the temperatures drop, then it's going to be tricky skiing first thing in the morning.
It absolutely is. At this time of year, for racing, not ideal. However, the Norwegians love to do what's called scree skiing, which is when all over the fjells, the flat hills, the rolling hills, the surface of the snow melts, it freezes overnight, and then they can ski everywhere off-piste, and it's just beautiful skiing. So it's certainly something they can look forward to after the World Cup ends. Right now, not ideal.
Yeah. Just avoid the trees.
Other disadvantages that you can see the less well-funded teams. There's also things like COVID, the administration that they have to undergo to just move from country to country. There's entire staff that are solely responsible for getting their athletes A to B, whereas the little teams have coaches doing these jobs. So look at Amanda today. She managed to make the pursuit. What a fantastic result from her, and such a small team.
Well, I hope you got to see where your favourites were today. I can tell you Ligrid, Fielmeyer, Samuelson are the top three. 25:27 the winning time here in Oslo, and it will be Ligrid who leads the way out of the stadium in the pursuit tomorrow. He is finishing the season exceptionally well. He's up to 5th in the World Cup standings. He started today 20 points behind Christiansen. By my calculation, he's now ahead. So he's up to the top 4 and now starting to put pressure on Samuelson. Samuelson finishing 3rd. So that was a strong performance, 48 points, a 12-point gain for Ligrid over Samuelson. Ten out of 10 for Samuelson, as he would have wanted today, and his margin 26.5 seconds. He will start just 4 seconds behind Quentin Fielmeyer, the man who has won the overall World Cup this year for the first time, and today he sealed victory in the sprint competition as well. He could be taking 4 of the 5 globes this season. Stølholm Ligrid, another solid performance. For me, that was his best race of the year. Brilliant shooting, we know he can do that, but I don't think we've ever seen him quite so dominant on the skis. He just got faster and faster, and had saved something special for that last loop. What did he do? He took, well, he matched Samuelson for the last loop, but he was a good deal quicker. Came out of that last shoot with 30 seconds to spare. An outstanding performance. Ligrid, second win of the season. He's got 2 more races. He could take it up yet again.
How does it feel to be winning at home in front of
Here
a
he
big
is.
crowd finally?
Oh, it's just incredible. It's my debut here in the World Cup in Holmenkollen, and I've trained here many times since a junior, always dreamed of this, and now with the audience returning and also my family in the stands, it's crazy.
We talked about your visualization many times. Is that how you envision this moment?
Yeah, you know, it's something you dream of as a little kid. Holmenkollen it's the biggest venue there is, I guess, for us Norwegian athletes, and to be able to perform here and win, it's like a medal in a championship. It's so unbelievable.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So well done to Lygrid. Another astonishing run from him. He'll be in good spirits for tomorrow. Three races in 3 days. It's a tough one. Well, there you get the overall score. 9.24 the score. Look at the margin. Samuelsson has gone up into second place, but he's a country mile, 280 points adrift of the man on the left of your screen, Quentin Fillon-Maillet, a superb champion for 2022. And he deserves all the accolades. And don't forget, he was a hair's breadth away from taking 6 medals from 6 races in the Olympic Games. No one else has achieved that. In the race he failed, he finished 4th, much like Roysland, who the one she missed out on, the relay, she was 4th. Fillon-Maillet particularly good at the pursuits and the mass starts. I wonder, could tomorrow be his day? Fans will be here in numbers, no doubt. And the sprint standings, Fillon-Maillet with a podium finish today has done enough to hold off Samuelsson. 9 out of 9 sprints counting this season. That is the last one completed. It is just head-to-head racing between now and the end of the season on Sunday afternoon. French, I guess, a little disappointed, only have to 1 in the top 10. Detur down in 12, and Guiganard down in 22. Claude down in 27. Jacquelin all the way down in 30. And this season, which has been outstanding up until the beginning of the Olympic Games, his form dropping away. It's been a bit of a mental struggle, a physical struggle as well since then.
An enormous amount of traveling as well for them all to come all the way back from Beijing to another hectic month of racing. So you can see that they're able to retain such a high standard despite the travel, despite the long season, despite the fatigue. So many clears today.
Yeah, good conditions. I mean, when it's not windy, Oslo is one of the easy ones. Otterper last week, a long downhill into the range. We saw some outstanding performances. Only when the situation got very tense did we see misses. And Ruhpolding, another of those courses where you have a long descent into the stadium, and it's extraordinary how many athletes who did well in Ruhpolding did well in Otterper as well. Trying to think of all the venues, Scott, where you actually climb up into the stadium to shoot. Well, and Antolz is probably the most obvious.
Yeah, and that's exacerbated by the altitude there. And you do get that rest under the tunnel, but then it's skate 2, powering into the range with thin oxygen.
Nice to see a mix of nationalities supporting. And yeah, Oslo cancelled for a couple of years due to the pandemic. It's always one of the highlights of the season. The King's Guard are ready for the presentation. Second time they've been out today. And Norway winning the women's sprint earlier on today with Tiril Eckhoff. Today, this afternoon, it's all been about Sturla Holm Lygrid, who's been fantastic. And there are the mini globes for the sprint event. And Fillon-Maillet is getting the main one of those.
A lot of responsibility clinging onto one of those. You wouldn't want to drop it.
track is more easy to work. Det imponerar idag.
My type of condition.
Terrible for me. We are talking about it. We hope it's better. With the Norwegian public.
Yeah, my family. I saw your mom.
Yeah.
You don't go the church route, but it goes all the way up.
Thank
and
you.
You also can go to the jump hill. Takk. Ja, bra i dag.
Mine damer og herrer, vi vil nå få seiersseremoni for BMW IBU Verdenscup Sprint for menn. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have the prize-giving ceremony for the BMW IBU World Cup Sprint for men. The medals are handed over by Tore Bøygard, IBU Executive Board Member, and Morten Djupvik, Secretary General, Norwegian Biathlon Association. Number 3, representing Sweden, Sverige, Sebastian Samuelsson. Andre plass, second place, representing France, Quentin Fillon-Maillet. Nummer 1 og vinner. First place and the winner, representing Norway, Norge, Sturla Holm Lagereid. Og vi fortsetter med nummer 4, 4th place, representing Germany, Deutschland, Benedikt Doll. Nummer 5, 5th place, representing Germany, Deutschland, Erik Lesser. Nummer 6, 6th place, representing Germany, Deutschland, Philipp Navrat. Da gir vi en skikkelig applaus for vinnerne. A big applaus for the winners. Sturla Holm Lagreid, Quentin Fillon-Maillet, Sebastian Samuelsson, Benedikt Doll, Erik Lesser, Philipp Navrat.
First like this. Good. Stand close on you. Good. Thank you very much.
It's over there, so it's possible now.
Voilà, bah, il y en a 3 déjà.
Vi skal nå ha premieseremoni for herrenes sprintcup sammenlagt. We will now have the ceremony for the BMW World Cup Men's Total Sprint Score. Nummer 1 og sammenlagt vinner. Number 1 and winner, representing France, Quentin Fillon-Maillet. The trophy is handed over by Mr. Ole Dahlin, President of the IBU.
Kontakt.
Nous, on va attendre la fin là. Et après...
Vi skal nå ha premieseremoni for herrenes normalprogram sammenlagt. We will now have the ceremony for the men's BMW World Cup Total Individual Score. Nummer 1 og sammenlagt vinner. Number 1 and winner, representing Norway, Norge, Tarjei Bø! The trophy is handed over by Mr. Ole Dahlin, President of the IBU. Vi skal nå ha premieseremoni for nasjonscupen sammenlagt, men we will now have the ceremony for the BMW Men's Nation Cup Score. Nummer 1 og vinner. Number 1 and winner. Norway, Norge! Trophy is handed over by Mr. Ole Dahlin, President of the IBU. Stor applaus, a big applaud for the winner.